as each.
Or if there's no corrections or additions, I need a motion to accept the minutes as submitted.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as they are.
Need support?
Accept.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
I-
Aye, okay. Opposed, the same?
Phil,
Okay.
Phil, can I take roll, please?
What?
I can't tell who all is on. Who all is here.
Okay, Sue is here.
Okay,
Steve is here.
okay,
Richard's here.
okay.
Myself and Phil and yourself.
So 6, okay.
Do you see the 6 video panels?
I can't see you, Sandy.
No, you can't see me, but you
I
should.
I can't see Steve.
Should be able to see us all.
Yeah, I can't. So, oh, wait a minute. Let me push this little arrow. Okay, I guess there we go. That's
Good.
better. Okay.
Jeannie, is there any secretary's report?
Just that I won't be here for the next month. I've given Sue the key to the PO box and she's gonna get the mail while I'm gone.
Okay. All righty, treasurer's report, Sue.
General fund, $16,492.32. Secord Dam is $4,690.42. Service fee for Secord Dam for March was $17, which I transferred $17 from the general fund to the Secord Dam Fund. And on March 24th, I did the 990-9 postcard for the IRS. And that covers January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. So I have copies for you, Phil, and Jeannie's got her copy.
Okay. So we must have had a lot of influx and dues. That's up considerably from the last month.
Yeah, we have. And if our treasurers gets over $50,000, we're gonna have to start paying the IRS. So we gotta watch that.
We won't let that happen.
Just letting you know.
Well, you have, just keep watch on it, Sue. Okay. Do we have a membership number right now from anybody? Sandy?
The membership's 82 members paid through 2021, 26 members through 2023, 76 members paid through 2024, 18 members paid through 2025, for 202 effective members.
Okay. Pretty good, right? We got a lot of work to do, but that's not bad. Sue, is there any bills? Oh, wait, I need a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
Make a
Approve the
motion.
treasurer's report.
Chuck made a motion. Jeannie, you support?
Yes,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Treasurer's report is done. So, is there any bills we have to approve, Sue?
Nope.
No bills. That's great. We're ahead of schedule, so we can actually, I want to just briefly tell the board how we'll try to do this today. We have a 15-minute time slot for 7 candidates, in which I don't know, Sandy, you want to introduce, or I'll introduce, one of us will introduce, and then I'm going to just briefly, my first question, I'm only going to ask 2 questions. And then I'm going to let the board members, which are you folks, field it from there, or I have more questions, but that's 2 that I'd like to get done. And they're simple, generic questions like, why do you want to be on the Secord Lake Association Board of Directors? You know, that's number 1 question. And I need just a brief answer. And then my other question is going to be related to our meetings that we actually do meet midweek most of the time as a board. And I'm going to see if that's workable. I mean, that's kind of important as we move forward, because as of today, now Tammy had some interference, which is understandable, but normally, even though we have 7 public meetings on Saturdays, normally we meet midweek sometime. And I think that's important that they can be available in some way. So I'm going to ask the question if they, if they have a full-time job that they can't come to meetings during the week, it's going to be difficult for them to fill that position. So those are my 2 things I'm going to ask, really. And then I'm going to turn it over to, I know, each of you to ask individual questions if you wish. If not, I have a couple more I can ask, but 15 minutes. So we're going to expect brief answers from the candidates and brief questions from the board. We have to stay on schedule. How this is going to work is it's going to be an hour and a half of interviews, how it is. So we need to stay on the timeline. That's important. So we'll be kind of help us as you ask those questions, help us kind of watch the clock. I may have to cut an answer off if we need to move forward. I don't want to get too far behind. So Sandy, you can explain how you're doing the waiting room thing.
Yep, so just like each of you, when you dialed in today, I set it up so that I had to click on admit. So the candidates, like the first one up is Dan Drawley. He has not dialed in yet. So when he does, then I will admit him and we can start his portion. The others will stay in the waiting room if they dial in ahead of their time until we let the previous one go and admit them. So there won't be any overlap.
That being said, Sandy, I think I'll have you introduce, because possibly if somebody doesn't come on at their time slot, you could move it forward, I suppose,
Okay,
right?
yep.
That way I'll let you control that, because if somebody hasn't dialed in for say 4:15 and somebody else is waiting, we might as well take them. So I'll let you do that. I'll let you run that, and you can introduce who you have on the phone.
Sure.
And I will ask the first question, and after that, I'll turn it over to the board, or first 2 questions, then I'll turn it over to the board. And we'll go through that. There is some other things we need to discuss today, but it's not necessary. I talked to Chuck. We're going to probably have to have another meeting. And I know, Jean, you have some conflicts. When are you leaving?
Well, we're leaving on Wednesday.
Okay.
I'll be available by phone or by my cell phone, but I won't have access to a computer.
Okay. Well, there's a couple things, other issues we need to take care of before April, whatever it is, our public meeting. Now, I just don't know if we'll get to those today because of this. This is important. I want to get this done. At least I want to get the interviews over. So I don't want to keep the board for 3 hours today. So we'll see how it works out. And that being said, we're at 4:11. We have 4 minutes. You have anybody waiting, Sandy?
No, not yet.
Okay. So that being said, the other business we're going to put up right now, the only other business I had is the commissioners are trying to figure out whether to vote yes or no on this, on assessment district, operational assessment district. And it's been brought to my attention by Joel Vernier that it's Wixom Lake has done a successful letter writing campaign from their association to support. In other words, the commissioners want to hear from the lake community and they want to know if we support this. And I'm pretty sure Secord does, because we want our lake back, but they want letters. So the original plan was to do a basic letter and have people endorse it. But Joel indicated to me, being he was a commissioner, it's better for them to get several letters. If they get 70 letters, that brings it to their attention that, hey, that Secord Lake is behind this. We need to do this. So that's going to be done here probably this week or next week. We need to get these letters. I think what we'll do is write a template letter or 2. I'll have to talk to the comm team about that. And then somehow reach out to our members and see if they can send letters in. It's very important, because if they don't approve it, of course, then it sets us all back another year, which that would be awful. So we need this to move forward. They're voting on this in May, so we have a little time, but not much. So we got to get this done first part of April. So that's the only thing I had in other business, just a letter of support for the operational, so we can move forward with the Four Lakes Task Force plan.
Also, along with that, Phil, one of the commissioners resigned.
Yes,
So I don't know how they're going to fill that position.
they actually are working on that, and I guess I'm not sure how far along. I got a call. I just got back from Florida late last night. I got a call. I was in Florida. I was working on this, and Joel said if we knew of anybody that was a Secord Lake resident, because it would help to have a commissioner that was pro-lake. So I don't know how far. I think they do have a couple candidates from our lake, but Joel's been working on that. I'm not sure where we're at. If you know of anybody that wants a position on that would be the Gladwin commissioner position, let Joel Vernier know. Because there's, even though he has a couple names, it's open. I mean, anybody that is in Gladwin County can run. So it'd be nice to have somebody that's pro-lake on it, but that's what we're hoping for. Because right now it's 2 in favor of the assessment, 2 opposed, and the guy that resigned was on the fence. So we need
Bill, who resigned?
the new guy who, I can't,
The one that replaced Joel?
yes.
Wow.
Does his replacement have to live in Secord Township?
No, you have to be in Gladwin County.
Really?
Well, you're a county commissioner, yeah.
Yeah, but the different commissioners represent different areas.
They can be assigned. My understanding is they don't have to live in like Clement, they don't have to live there, but they would, they'll be assigned, like say, whatever this would be Secord, they'd be assigned to represent. But my understanding is they don't have to be in Secord Township.
We have Dan Drawley in the waiting room. Do you want me to admit him? We ready?
Yes, of course. We're gonna move on then. Yeah. Okay, good. Hi, Dan.
He's connecting to audio yet.
Okay.
Dan, we can see you. We can't hear you. You need to unmute yourself, please. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
We
Can
can.
hear you, Dan, yes.
We have
Yes.
Dan Drawley as our first candidate for interview today.
Okay, Dan, welcome. Thanks for taking the interest. I don't know if you've been told, but we have 7 candidates, which is really good. I mean, I'm surprised, pleasantly surprised that we had that much interest. And so that being said, we have a 15-minute time slot for you. There's going to be some questions. I guess I'll come out with the basic startup question for you. And I'm Phil, by the way. I don't really never formally met you, but I'm Phil. And my first question, I guess, for our board is, number one, briefly just say why you want to be on our board, maybe briefly introduce yourself and tell us why you want to be on the board.
Okay, I mean, if I could introduce myself, my name's Dan.
Mhm.
I moved to Michigan 37 years ago. I've been working for General Motors, Steering Gear, Delphi, now Next Year for all of those 37 years. I had the opportunity to live in a number of places. I've been on Secord now. This is our 11th year. And I've got quite a bit of board experience. I've been on the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance Board I was on for 5 years. I'm on the CMU Research Board for also 5 now. And I'm on the Saginaw Future Board, currently past chair. I was chair for about 1.5 years. And I want to be on the SLA board because I think I can help. I've got quite a few connections and I just want to help the place, want to help the team, and I want to help us get our light back as best I can.
Okay, good enough. Dan, you said you've been here. Are you full-time, how do you, are you living here all the time, or
No, we split.
you split it?
I
Okay.
bought the place while my wife and I were dating, and that's my official residence.
Okay,
But
okay.
it's an easier commute from our home in Essexville, where she owned prior to our being married. So we split our time.
Okay, I'm familiar with Essexville. That's my country up there. That being said, well, I can lead to the next question I have, and then I'm going to turn it over to the board. But my next question is, we often meet during the week, like we are today, say midweek. We have 7 meetings a year on Saturdays for the general public, but basically behind the scenes, we try to meet once a month as a board somewhere midweek. There's no particular time. Is that a problem for you, or would that be workable?
Oh, no, that's workable.
It's workable. Okay.
Yeah.
We've
I
been
can
doing
rearrange
Zoom.
my schedule at work.
Okay. We've been doing Zoom. I don't know how long we'd rather have in person, but it kind of been a Zoom world right now. So that may change. But anyway, I just wanted to ask that question. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to, I'll just let any board member just raise, if they want to ask a question, go ahead. Anybody?
Yeah, I'll go. Dan, my name is Richard West.
Richard?
I just have one question for you. A few days ago, we sent you and the other applicants an email relating to the board's desire and need to speak with one voice regarding board decisions.
Yes.
And it also related as a board member, effective, essentially you agree to forego publicly voicing any personal disagreement with any particular board decision. Did you receive that email?
I did. That's, to me,
Go
that's
ahead.
standard board protocol.
Okay,
No-
well, you
no
answered
board-
my question. The question, does this pose any difficulty for you? I assume
No.
no. Is that fair?
No, as I've said, I've served on 3 different boards here in the area, and we speak with one voice. We're generally very united. There are rare occasion where we're split, but outside that boardroom, we're one voice.
We have those occasions ourselves, but okay, thank you. That's the only question I have.
Steve, do you have anything?
Yeah, I have just a couple of questions. Dan, thanks a lot for applying for the position. As a board, we all appreciate it. The number of people wanting to get on is spreading confidence that there is a willingness to help get to not only our lakes, but also our community as well. You mentioned in that, I'm glad that you commented, also elaborate a little more to you, because your narrative was pretty short and sweet, 1 sentence. However, you said you had connections. What connections can you give me right now that would benefit the Secord Lake Association?
Senator Horn, his personal friend, Ken Horn, out of Frankenmuth.
Okay.
Joanne Crary, who has been the president of Saginaw Future for 30 years. As I said, I was her chair. I'm currently past chair. She's connected locally, nationally, state level. As a matter of fact, the gentleman that runs the 4 Lakes Task Force, she connected me with him with a phone call. So
Okay.
I've got a few connections.
That's good. That's good to hear. I appreciate that. Yeah, that is helpful to hear. Piggybacking off, I got a couple canned questions here that I'm probably going to pose to it, piggybacking off of what Richard had talked about in terms of ethics. Sometimes in these board meetings, we are given information that are deemed, not public at this point, or very sensitive, and to, as our president would say, to talking confidentiality at this point. Can you give a commitment to that you are going to abide by that?
Without question.
Okay. Are you planning to, you mentioned you'd be coming up here for 11 years, part-time. Any opportunity that you will be becoming a full-time resident within the next 2 to 3 years? It seems as though this position is, it falls within at least a year position.
I wouldn't say that we'll be full-time residents within 3 years. No, I've got 3 years. I'll have 40 years in at
Right.
next year. And my wife is 10 years my junior. It's a second marriage for both of us. She has a 16-year-old daughter, so she's going to keep working for a while yet.
Yep.
If I can tell you, if I can get Keith Seltz to sell me a little property across the road, I'm going to put up a pole barn yet this year, but it's like trying to get candy away from the kid.
Right. Well, again, I thank you for applying. I think your answers really are helpful for not only myself, but for the board in general. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Thanks, Dan. Anybody else? Jeannie or Chuck? Anybody want to speak up?
I have nothing specific that hasn't already been addressed.
Okay, Chuck?
Well, Dan, one of your employees just happens to live down the road from us here.
I knew that.
He was telling me some things about you. That you lived down on Sanford at one time.
I did.
So you've got a little bit of experience on both Sanford and Secord.
Yes.
And Mark just couldn't tell me enough good things about you. And one thing that I want all of the candidates to know is whether you're chosen for this one position or not, we will have an election again, as always, in August. And there will be 3 of the board members will be up for re-election, or other people that can be running to take one of their positions. So if for some reason that you're not chosen, no hard feelings. We've got other committees that we always are looking for help on.
I ran for the last board election too, and I
Yep.
think I was the 5th vote getter.
Yep,
So I would run again.
I
Good.
remember it very well. But like the communications committee or membership committee, we're always looking for volunteers to assist us with new ideas and things like that. Would you be willing to step up on any of those types of positions if you were not chosen?
Yes. I contacted the head of the 4 Lakes Task Force way back when, and I told them that anything that they needed, I'd be willing to do.
Okay, that
Okay.
sounds good. Thank you.
Sue?
I don't have any questions that have already been answered, so.
Okay. Let's see, Rita, I don't know if she's available. She might be on mute, so I'll just reach out to her. She had some conflicts today, so, okay. I thank you,
Could I
Dan.
ask a quick question?
You bet. Sure, go.
Chuck, your neighbor, he did not apply simply because I applied.
That's true.
Right. So if maybe that was a bad decision on our part, perhaps Mark should have applied at the same time.
Well, he felt that you were more qualified than he was. And like I said, he gave me a lot of good information about you as well. So
I've known Mark since he was a college student, so he was my student at one time.
all right. Well, if
Okay,
nothing else, I look forward to meeting you in person, either at Mark's or on the board.
That'd be great.
Okay. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
Have a great afternoon.
You too.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
How we doing, Sandy?
Okay, Robert Plotsky is the next one. We do not have him dialed in yet.
Okay. He has some time. I don't want to go, we'll wait till 4:30 as his appointment. And if he's not dialed in, we can continue with a meeting, or we'll wait for somebody else to dial in, I guess.
I'll let you know when the next person dials in.
Okay. I didn't mention, I don't think I mentioned, you got to help me. I've been a little bit like my mind racing, but I thought maybe after this meeting, we would try to reach out or discuss the maybe getting 3 candidates, final candidates. I know there was a desire to meet personally, and I respect that. And if we could narrow it down to say, unless we decide unanimously on one tonight, if we want to narrow it down to 3 or whatever, we could meet personally with them if the board feels the need. I don't think I want to mention that to these candidates because I'm not sure if that's going to happen. So, but it's just, I just want the board to know that that is a possibility if we feel it's necessary. So, I don't
Should
know.
probably decide on a canned reply that I can send out from the board after the meeting to each of them, just thanking them for their time today and what the next step potentially could be, with
Okay, that's probably a good idea. So after this interview process, we'll discuss what the board's desire is. And I think the thank you is the most, that is very important.
yeah. We have Robert Plotsky in the waiting room.
Okay. We're ready when he is.
There we go.
You unconnected?
Yep, he needs to unmute himself. Robert, we need you to unmute. There we go.
Okay, is it okay now?
Yes, there you
Okay, good, thank you.
Okay, we have Robert Plotsky, this next candidate for interview.
Okay. Thanks for coming, Robert.
I appreciate being here too.
Okay, good. We have some board members. How we're going to do this, I'm going to ask just a couple brief questions and I turn it over to the board. They have a few individual questions they want to ask.
I understand.
And I forgot that, and if you have any questions, certainly ask us. You know, you may have something out there you have a question on. But
Okay.
my first question to you is, why, I guess briefly, just introduce yourself and tell us why you want to be on the Secord Lake Association Board of Directors, if you can.
Well, I believe, everybody wants to see lakes back. That's no question. For me, it's about community. I started off back in 1984, 85, becoming a member of a volunteer fire department downstate. I pushed that into working for a volunteer ambulance service. And the number of hours and the love for the community only grew from there until I sought a position at a full-time department where we did firefighting and policing, and I love being involved with the community. Critically important for me. I moved from there into school teaching after I retired from the public safety department. And I have to be a part of the community. I retired from that. I moved up here and I'm currently a bus driver in West Branch Rose City Public Schools. Just because I didn't want to fully retire, I want to be involved with the community, especially once I've moved up here, I want to be a part of something. With my background and this lake being so critically important to me, this is what I think I can do to help my community better. West Branch is a great community, but I consider Secord my community. This is a place where I'm a member of the Eagles. This is a place where I've retired and I will remain here for, I don't know how many years I'm given. That's why I'm willing to be here. What can I offer? And maybe, can I go into that or, well.
Oh, sure.
Through my interaction with the Fraternal Order of Police, the FOP, we had a communication or an organization represents about 355,000 police officers in the United States. I was a member of Lodge 124 in Warren, Centerline. I then migrated up their board membership after 12 years to be president. One of the things that I was able to bring, or that we were bringing all along, was the interaction between government, local entities. We started different programs. I initiated a Cops with Kids program in which police officers would take them Christmas shopping, which was another immense project too. But we raised funding for that. But moreover, I got a chance to deal with quite a few politicians. And one of the things I did learn from that interaction was they want personnel contact. And I think at some point in the future, not immediate, maybe not in anybody's radar, I believe us as board members, the leaders of the community here, will need to go into to speak to some of the legislators. It's good that we have people representing us, but I think that personal interaction, Sander Levin told me once, this is incredibly important. This is 30 years ago, but people that receive those postcards, remember you used to get those little postcards, you'd sign it and send it in. He said that was worth about a vote for him because he has to listen to a constituency letter. 5, 10 people would probably want to write, but didn't. Phone calls around that same range. But he says anybody that took the time to interact with them, immense. And it may not be our reach or our persons here that represent us directly, but the region to support our representatives in Lansing is critical. I think that when somebody knocks on the door, if they even don't talk to a senator or a congressman, they have the opportunity to at least talk to the workers who definitely relay. I've had more than one senator called off the floor to talk to me.
I agree.
Important.
I agree. That's important. I have one question for you, Robert.
Sure.
Another question, and we need to move along. So
I understand. I'm trying to make it brief.
no, you are. You're doing great. The question I have is we, even though we meet publicly 7 months a year on Saturday with the lake community, we have during the 12 months, pretty much, we meet midweek during the afternoon, or we can assign any time. But is there any conflict that you can see that maybe that would be a problem for you?
I don't see it. You're talking about like executive board meetings?
I'm talking about the board meetings. We often meet during the week like we are today. You know, it's not a given time, but I just wanted to know if that's a workable thing for you.
It's definitely workable.
Okay.
Because I believe this project is so important to me, and this is my guarantee to you, if I see conflicts coming up and I'm not able to rectify that with my standing at West Branch, I'll leave. This is that critically important to me.
Okay. That being said, I'm going to turn it over to my board. We have a couple board members are not live, but they're on audio. So I'm going to turn it over to our board members now for individual questions. We'll have to keep them brief, but Richard, did you want to start again?
Sure.
Okay.
Mr. Plotsky, based on a couple of your comments, are you aware that the Four Lakes Task Force and the Secord Lake Association are different entities?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have 2 representatives on the Four Lakes Task Force, and they're allowed to voice their opinions to help guide the Four Lakes Task Force. But we are I understand to be a separate entity.
Do you also understand that the Secord Lake Association itself has neither the authority nor the ability to actually engage in restoration of the lake?
Yes, absolutely. We're more. Do you want me to do the pyramid for you? What I believe the pyramid
Yes,
is?
I would, please.
Okay. My interpretation of what it is you have the community here in Secord that allows representatives to be elected. This is a little bit different situation, but allowed to represent them. Then you have the other 3 lakes that hire or elect people in their particular lake system. The 4 lakes combined then are part of that 4 lakes task force, helping to guide and shape the direction for all 4 lakes. Does that answer the question?
It does in part. I think I'm more interested in your view of the Secord Lake Association in that context. I mean, you're applying to be on the board of
Yes,
our association, not the task force.
I understand that. That's, yes, that is for our two representatives to take to them the concerns or the direction of our lake community.
Okay,
I'm not going to be on that. I understand that. But if we need people to put effort into moving forward in any call that the lake needs to, I don't care if it's house to house, talking to people to get them involved or help them understand, I don't care what it is, I'm willing to help. That's the point of this. That's my whole reason for being here. The
Sure.
pushing for the Four Lakes Task Force and the directions and stuff like that, that's up to our two representatives. I'm not trying to hear to legislate what they would want to do. As long as they're representing us, and I'm sure they would.
fair enough. Let me have one more question and then I'll let you go.
Sure.
We sent an email out to you and the other applicants a few days ago relating to what at least we as a board perceive as ethical obligations of the board members. Did you receive that?
Yes, I did.
You had the opportunity to read it?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Can I comment or?
My question is
Okay.
for you to comment on it.
Okay, good enough. From my experience when I was president at the FOP, we had an executive board similar to the Secord Lake Association. It was at that time we would get together, we call it an executive meeting prior to the actual membership meeting. We get together, air differences, formulate new ideas. If there was some better idea, a way to handle something for a particular organization, we did it. Once that occurred, everybody needed to be uniform in coming out to the membership. Dissenters would cause confusion among the membership. We lose direction, and ultimately that would destroy anything we're trying to do. So my belief is, as long as everybody can communicate prior to a meeting, that should be the end of it. Once a decision is made up of the board, then that should be the message put forth to the membership. Because we have to be united. Does that answer the question?
I think that answers. Richard, you set then, or I know we got a couple more questions, so.
No, that's fine. Thank you, Mr. Ponsky.
Thank you, Richard. It was nice talking to you.
Steve,
Yes.
we have about 5 minutes left, so I don't want to, we got to keep everything brief here.
Okay, Bob, I appreciate you volunteering to cut step forward and be part of it. One word that I get out of your whole conversation is you're very passionate. You're passionate, and I appreciate
I was
that.
just told I was relentless.
Oh, positive relentless. I heard that.
That was my employer. He told me, he said, Bob, there's one thing I can tell you, you're relentless.
Okay. Appreciate everything. The question I'm bridging on from what Richard was talking about, there are some things that come up within the board, especially a narrative of confidentiality that is spoken, usually from our president or vice president as it relates to positions that are not deemed in public view at this time, at this point.
I understand.
Strategies, strategic planning, and so forth. Could you give your commitment to honor that confidentiality and not speak of that outside the board? Also,
Absolutely. Unequivocally, yes.
okay.
I don't want to elaborate into it, but there were things in the FOP membership that they were not apprised to. Never heard about it from me at all.
One other, I have just quickly, are you a full-time resident currently?
Sorry?
Or are you a full-time resident currently? Or
Yes, I live here 100% of the time.
Okay, one other concern that I might have, and maybe you can clarify for it, in your narrative, you spoke in terms of if I have been selected president of a couple of different boards and interacted with state regulators and inspectors in several different areas. I bring this up to forward the point. I believe we must get our final plans approved by the state regulators so modifications can be limited. What do you mean by can be limited?
I'm thank you so much for bringing that up. I've dealt with regulators in the past through the previous, through the LCC, Liquor Control Commission. And sometimes modifications were made in regulations and bars and liquor establishments and that such things. As long as a plan had been approved prior to the changes, they were kind of quote unquote grandfathered in. My fear is Governor Whitmer has added on additional inspectors. That's for this year. Maybe next year there's more inspectors. And my fear is if we don't have our plan in place so far as approval from Eagle, that there could be new regulations that could be placed upon us, which would hurt or cost us financially. The review that I've seen of the dam from an engineering background, perfect. I don't see any changes that need to be made. I think we're moving forward in the right direction. I don't see problems here. The only thing is going to be is how to mitigate some of the funding down the road. And I'm not talking going to talk to senators, right? That's not today, tomorrow, next week. That's probably in another year and a half, maybe 2 years.
Okay.
But
Well, anyway, you clarified it. I appreciate that. So I appreciate again for taking part in this.
okay.
We need to wrap up, but let's see, Jeannie, Sue, Chuck, I need any of you?
Just real quick, Robert and Chuck Sikora, Vice President. We've got different committees that we have, communications and membership and such. We're always looking for members to volunteer. Are you interested in helping out on any of these committees to help? You know, we've got fundraising committee, you know, reaching out to the community and stuff like that, as well as communications. If you're interested, we're always looking for people to help out. If you want to reach out to us.
Well, whether I get elected or brought into the committee from the board or not, I'd be willing to help as long as I can fit my current. I would love to do whatever I can, and I think that I can assist even right now.
Okay.
It would not matter to me. If you guys decide to go with somebody else, I probably will still end up trying to help out because it's become apparent to me that I need to be more involved here than in West Branch and places like that. I mean, I've enjoyed every minute of it, but at some point, this is where I think that I could help out or do something to better my community.
Okay, that sounds really great.
Okay,
I
need to
look
wrap up.
forward to talking with you.
Hey, Robert, in wrap up, I'm just going to say that we do have elections every year in August.
November the 21st, actually.
Okay, we elect 3 positions every year. We rotate. We have 9 board members and they're rotated, so 3 a year. So if you're interested and I think you've already run. I'm not.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Okay. So you're familiar with that. So you sound like a great guy. I'd love to have you aboard. We'll see how it works out.
I really appreciate everybody's time too. So thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Hope to see you guys soon.
All right.
Okay, we have next up is Kevin Smith. Admitting him from the waiting room now. Give him a second. Okay. There we go. Kevin, we can see you. You need to unmute yourself. There we are.
All set.
Yep, this is our candidate, Kevin Smith.
Hello, Kevin.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for applying for this position and thanks for being here today. I'm Phil Dast, President. We have 15-minute time slot, so we're going to ask brief questions, need brief answers if possible. And if you have any questions, please ask us, you know. But anyway, just to start out, Kevin, have just a generic question. I want you to just briefly tell about yourself and tell us why you want to be on the Secord Lake Association Board of Directors.
Okay. Well, I'm Kevin Smith, the husband of my wife, Michelle, the father of two kids, Nathan and Ariana. They're 4 and 2.5. We live down in Sterling Heights, but through the unfortunate passing of my wife's grandfather, we did inherit a home on West River on Secord Lake, which is now our vacation home through her parents. I'm as an employment, I'm the deputy for the Macomb County Sheriff's Office. My wife is a real estate appraiser and does that full time. Basically, my interest in being on the board is one wanting a lake in a community that my kids can enjoy and their kids can enjoy, because at this point we've got a strong vested interest in property along the lake. I'd love to see the board work on its current mission, which is getting the lake back through advocacy and through disseminating good information. And then I see some good long-term benefit to having this organization and doing some real good fun things after we have the lakes back, and kind of retooling and having a new mission and just creating a good community around the lake.
Thank you. Then I have another question for you. How most of our meetings, we have 7 public meetings on Saturdays here during the summer. Starts in April, goes through October. But other than that, through the month, we meet usually once a month as a board, and we meet midweek. Would that be an issue for you if you knew ahead of time when that would be, or can you?
If I know ahead of time, it's not a problem. My current schedule is on afternoons, so my day doesn't start until about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
Going into the summer, I work on the Marine Division for the Sheriff's Office, which is also an afternoon slot. And again, I generally don't start my day until about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon anyway.
Okay. With that being said, my board here has some individual questions I want to ask you, and so I'll start. We've been starting. Richard, go ahead. And you there, Richard?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Mr. Smith, how are you?
Good, Richard. How are you?
Okay. I was really out on one question for you. We sent an email to you a few days back regarding the board's position on certain ethical matters. Did you receive that?
I did, absolutely.
You had opportunity to read it?
I did, yes.
Okay. Essentially, we're asking, or it states that in order to speak, for the board to speak as one voice, there are occasions when individual board members agree to forgo publicly voicing any personal disagreement. Do you have any difficulty or issues with that?
No, none at all. I already have the same sort of agreement with my current employer with the Sheriff's Office. There are things that happen in the world, part of my job in a courtroom, that I won't always necessarily agree with, and I know both professionally and as being part of the board that keeping one voice is important, and not to go through social media or go around the community or anything like that and start blasting members or anything if I happen to disagree with a certain stance that the other board members take.
Is Mr. Hackle still your boss?
Actually, no. Mr. Hackle actually went to a higher position. He now kind of oversees the whole county. We currently have Anthony Wickersham as our sheriff.
Thank you very much.
No problems.
Okay, Steve, I'm not leaving Sue and Jeannie out, but I'll get to you. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, Kevin, appreciate you applying for the board position. I also respect the fact of your commitment to law enforcement. It's a difficult position, and I admire you for that. But piggybacking off a little bit off of what Richard has said, there are times in these board meetings that I know you talked about ethics, but I want a solid commitment and hear it from you that sometimes in these board meetings, there are informations that are shared primarily by our board president or vice president that is deemed confidential to our ears only at this point in time. And that might go along strategic planning or any type of development that comes from the 4 Lakes Task Force. Are you committed to keep that private and confidential throughout the duration of the board position?
Yes, absolutely. I have no problem holding on confidential information.
Okay, so you already stated that you're a full-time, you're a full-time resident down in Macomb, right? Sterling
Correct.
Heights.
Yes.
And you come up on weekenders, stuff like that. Any opportunities or anything within the next 2 or 3 years you're going to be a full-time resident up here?
No, unfortunately, I'm down here in Macomb for at least another 20 years. So
You look like it. So, and it's good to have youth on this board. There's something to be said about having some youth on this board. No disrespect to everybody on the board now, but one final question though. You mentioned your job in the terms that you work second shift, but you usually start at 3 or 4. It's been my understanding of our board meetings since I became that our board meetings start at usually 4 o'clock. And that's when you're on shift, and especially when you're out in the water in the summer months. How is that? How are you going to be able to accommodate this? Help me to understand.
my schedule is weird. There's no other way to put it. I may have just a random Wednesday or something off that would fall within, whatever the schedule, whatever the meeting is. There are ways I can work with it. I do have time off available to me as part of our, as part of our bargaining agreement. It's not, it won't be an issue. I can find time. I have time available. And again, my schedule is, my weekend may be a Wednesday, Thursday, as opposed to what you're accustomed to, people coming up a Friday to a Sunday. My weekends are just, they're different. So, it won't be an issue to find the time.
Yeah, my understanding and experience so far is that although we may be fluid on days, we're not fluid on the time, and that's during your course of your work. And I don't want to take away from your work, but again, I see a lot of potential in you. So I appreciate you in this process. Thank you. I appreciate it, Kevin.
Okay, Jeannie?
Just one follow-up on what Steve asked him. You said that your weekends might be a Tuesday, Wednesday, or a Wednesday, Thursday. Our public meetings are Saturdays in the morning. Would you be able to routinely make the Saturday meetings?
Yes, absolutely. Again, my shift doesn't start until the afternoon, so typically Saturdays I'm available. Not having looked at your calendar for what weekends you have that the Saturdays on, they may even fall on my weekend off for that particular schedule anyway. So again, I'm not concerned about Saturday mornings and making those at all.
Stu?
I don't have any other questions.
Chuck, you want to wrap up?
Sure, I'll wrap up. Thank you, Kevin, for asking to be, volunteer on the board. We're always looking for the people that are up here. We all of us, we want the water back too. That's why we're on the board, and that's why we're pushing the Secord Lake Association the way we do. We have a lot of different committees, and we're always looking for volunteers. So if you are not chosen and you still want to reach out and become part of a committee, we've got a fundraiser committee. We've got a golf outing coming up. They've got, a lot of other committees that reach out to the community as well as communications in that. We're always looking for people to help out, to come up with new ideas, how to contact others to, get more funding for us and stuff like that. So we're always welcome for new faces, new ideas, and feel free to reach out if you are not who we happen to choose. And there's no reason to feel slighted or nothing else. I think everybody that asked to be a candidate to be on the board, there are a lot of really, really good people that good credentials and everything else, including yourself. So, it's going to be a hard decision on all of us. But, we look forward to talking with you, seeing you on the water. Maybe it's on kayaks this year, but we hope to see you.
Yeah.
And feel free to reach out anytime. And once again, we've got our elections are in August of every year. We elect 3 new board members every year. So, that's something else. So thank you for asking to be on the board.
Thank you. And regardless of your decisions, I'm a fairly new member to the Secord Lake Association. I do plan on getting involved in the committees and becoming an active member regardless of what you decide today.
Good. I look forward to speaking with you.
Okay,
All right,
Kevin,
sounds
thank
good.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does that conclude the interview with Kevin then?
Yes.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next is Greg Scharf. He is not dialed in yet.
Okay.
Have a moment.
Well, Phil, since we've got a small lull here, could I ask everybody on the board the question that we've been discussing?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't expect
Just first
anybody.
of all, Sandy, interrupt us if he comes on board, but go ahead, Chuck.
We've gotten several emails from people and, oh, you just dialed in. I'll make it real fast. I don't expect anybody to give me an answer right now, but something to think about. We've had several emails that are saying, why should I become a member? What are the perks for it? And the communications team, we would like to know what everybody else thinks. So something to think about, and we can continue this discussion later.
I'm going to admit Greg Scharf.
Okay.
We have video of Greg. Greg, can you unmute yourself?
It should be good.
Hi. We have Greg Scharf, next candidate for interview.
Good afternoon, Greg. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for your interest in the Secord Lake Association. We have 15-minute time slots, so we have to ask brief questions and have brief answers if it's possible. And if you have any questions, make sure you ask us. But I'm just going to start out with the basic. Like to briefly introduce yourself and briefly tell us why you would like to be on the Secord Association Board of Directors, if you will.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you guys for this opportunity. And my name is Greg Scharf. I'm family has always, as long as I've known, been alive, had a place here on the lake, been part of the community as well. My wife and I we lived in the Upper Peninsula for about 8 years, and decided to move down here just because of the what we enjoyed in this area, and we wanted to make this our forever home. So that's where it's at. And currently, I work for the Mid-Michigan Health System. I am the cardiac and pulmonary rehab manager system-wide. So we have seven cardiac and pulmonary rehab programs throughout the system. So I manage all of those, and that's kind of where I'm at. And I decided with that, this was the perfect place to be.
And why'd you want to be on the Secord Board of Directors, basically?
I think, wanting this to be my forever home, I think it's, is the opportune time to take advantage and be an active participant in things that go on in our community, and be a voice um, for those that do want to live here, the community surrounding the lake and things of that nature. So I think it's the opportune time to take advantage of that and participate in the community that I live in.
Okay, and then I'll just have a quick follow-up question. We as a board, we oftentimes meet midweek. No given day particularly, but usually midweek we meet in the afternoon. And although we do have 7 meetings on a Saturday once a month during the summer for our lake community, but other than that, basically we meet during the week. Do you have any kind of scheduling problem that would be a conflict for you with that idea?
No, I mean, if afternoon, I'm usually pretty good midweek. So.
All right, I think we're gonna move along then. I'm gonna start with one of our board of directors, Richard. If you want to go ahead and Richard West, he's our board of director. Go ahead, Richard.
Hi, Mr. Sharp. How are you?
Good, and you?
Good. I just one question. We sent you an email a few days back relating to issues of board ethics.
Yes, correct.
You received that?
Yes.
Okay. Your questions or comments with regard to that that email?
No, I think as far as board positions goes, that seems pretty straightforward. That all discussions are had within the board, but outside, once the decision is made, is that your voice is the board's voice. So.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any more questions.
Okay, Steve, I'll let you. We keep this format, I guess. Steve, go ahead.
Hi, Greg. Thanks for applying for the position. I think it's one thing to point out. I really found of interest and really liked your narrative that you wrote on your position, on this position request. However, I do have a couple of candidate questions here, and that's it. And that is regarding, sometimes in these board meetings, there are discussions of sensitivity, and usually those comments come from our president or our vice president via information of strategic planning coming from the Four Lakes Task Force, or anything in sensitive nature that's not open to public knowledge at this point. It's just something leaning. Are you willing to give a commitment to this board during this interview that you will not share any of that information that is told to us? Usually when it's given to us, it's say, now folks, this is confidential. Are you to keep this confidential?
Yeah, and I'm very familiar with that as far as working in the medical field with all of our HIPAA regulations and things of that. So it's not, it wouldn't be uncommon for that process. So I'm pretty familiar with the everything in here stays in here, and especially when the patient care, because that's even a really strict aspect. So,
however, there will be given messaging to us to go out and try to create a narrative as to the community itself. And just you're a full-time resident here, correct?
Correct.
Oh, good. Okay, I have no other questions. I appreciate you applying for this position, and I wish good luck to you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeannie?
No, nothing that hasn't been asked.
Okay, Sue?
What other kind of volunteer experience do you have?
Volunteer, done some with the Habitat for Humanity. We've done some of the in joint ventures with Mid-Michigan Health. We've done some of the local food banks in both Gladwin and Clare counties. And I know one of the initiatives that we've presented actually as part of Mid-Michigan Health is creating a time bank for employees to provide to get paid for their volunteer efforts, because that one of our goals is to be more of an outreach to the community and be more involved in the community. And this is one of the aspects too, as far as that I look forward to doing as part of our initiative on Mid-Michigan Health, to be more active in our communities as well.
Okay, Chuck, I'll let you, Rita, any of you out there or evidently not? Chuck, go ahead, wrap it up if you like.
All right. Well, Greg, Steve is also somewhat in the healthcare business for many, many years. And I think he's semi-retired now, so he relates real well with what you're saying and everything else. But as the Secord Lake Association has been growing, we've got different committees, different ways that we're working on fundraising and communicating and things like that. Would you be interested in joining any of the different committees that we have to help us get water back sooner and, you know, start raising more awareness and funds and so forth?
Yeah, I think that's part of the process is, you know, is getting more people involved and getting transparency and activity. And then ultimately, hopefully bringing some additional funding as part of that process too. I think there's a lot of things that this community has to offer with or without water that can, you know, bring people and resources available to us. So I think there's definitely an opportunity there.
Okay. You know, when the Secord Lake Association was formed, we still had a beautiful lake out here and everything else, and we were looking at things to do for the community. And that's also going to be one of the things that we're going to be working on after we do get water back. Things to make the community a better place. And, you know, we're always looking for people to help out. So whether we choose you or not, you know, there's lots of opportunities to become very active in the Secord Lake Association. And also in August, we also have elections. So every year we elect 3 new or re-elect 3 board members as well. So regardless of what we do here, I feel that, you know, thank you very much for applying. Thank you for what you do in the health system. And you know, we all look forward to meeting you in person. And yeah, we all want water back. I retired here to have a beautiful lake in front of my house. And I think just about everybody else on the board has done the same thing. And that's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Is we want to, you know, get a lot of people involved, and we're always looking for assistance.
Okay.
Excellent.
Did anybody else have any other questions from the board?
If not, Greg, I want to thank you for being here today, and you'll hear from us. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for your time and the opportunity, and I look forward to hearing from all of you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tammy, you can unmute as you'd like. There we go.
Hello, sorry for my delay. Urgent work call.
Okay.
Well, we'll deduct it out of your pay. Don't worry about it.
Okay, good. Semiconductor shortages, you know, yeah. Deducted from my pay, good, perfect.
Tammy, we've gone to 4 scheduled interviews, and
Okay.
We're keeping it to 15 minutes. Everything seems to be working well at this point. So what I do is I ask just a brief question at the beginning and ask the candidate to introduce themselves, and then I turn it over to the board to do follow-up questions if you wish. You don't have to. If you have something that's you're thinking, you can ask. We need to keep it brief. And so far we've been doing that. It's been, I got to thank the board. We've been keeping it pretty strict. We have a little time lapse here because this candidate didn't, unlike the, I think the last candidate, he didn't talk too much. So It was
What are the names of the candidates? If you could tell me, just
that we
since I missed
that
the
we
first one.
interviewed. Or
Yeah.
we started with Daniel Drell, then we went to Robert Plotsky, then we did Kevin Smith. We just finished Greg Scharf. Our next candidate is Cheryl O'Neill. And after that, we have just 3 more. It'll be Cheryl, Mike Sush, and Chris Ringo. So that's how it's working. Seems to be going
Okay.
well. We have some time. I can tell you our intention is to, if we cannot make a decision, which I think that may become a problem. There's been some very good people here. We want to get it down to about 3 if we can. And then if the board feels we need to meet in person with these last 3, and I don't know if we will. I mean, they've been pretty thorough. We've asked good questions, but the board will decide how to move forward with this, I guess not election, but this replacement board. So that's how it's going to work. So.
Okay.
We have Cheryl in the waiting room whenever you want me to admit her.
Yeah, let's keep moving. Sure.
Okay. Cheryl, we can see you. You need to unmute yourself.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. Yes, we can hear you. This is
Okay.
Cheryl O'Neill, our next candidate for interview.
Good afternoon, Cheryl. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for your interest. With that, we got about a 15-minute time slot.
Okay.
We'll ask a few questions, and then if you have any questions, please do the same. And we will have to be kept brief because of our time slot, but it's been working well. So I'm going to start out, Cheryl, by just asking a basic question to just kind of introduce yourself briefly and tell us why you would like to be on the Secord Lake Association Board of Directors.
Okay. Well, my name is Cheryl O'Neill. We've been coming to Secord Lake for about 30 years. We've been homeowners, property owners, 25 years. We love this place, as most of you do. I want so badly to serve this community, and how would you say? I am the zoning chair for the Zoning and Planning Administration for Secord Township because of the same thing. I want to be a community that acts like a community. I want to keep integrity on the lake with what we proceed with as homes and as businesses, and as the water comes back. I want to support the Secord Lake Association with that issue and all the bad rumors that go around. I really, really want to be a part of the solution and not the problem. That is why I thought this board chair would fit well with my zoning and planning chair.
Okay. Then I have one other question. We as a board, we have 7 public meetings in the summer, April through October. They're on Saturday, and it's a public meeting. But other than that, we meet once a month, usually during the week, year round. We do, and it's usually some day during the week which we agree upon, or at least the majority agree upon, and it's usually afternoon. And I'm just wondering if that type of time slot would work for you.
I'm retired.
Okay.
Whatever time slot. I do whatever I want, whenever I want.
That was the only other question I had. I'm going to now turn it over to, actually, Richard West is board of director. He's been doing the first question here. So I'll let him go ahead. Richard?
Hi, Cheryl, how are you?
I'm good.
Just one question. We sent an email a couple of days back to all of the applicants relating to ethical issues as a board member. Did you receive that?
Yes, I did, and I read it through.
Any questions or comments with regard to that email?
No, I think it, as regard to the email and what the ethics is expected of a board member, makes sense anyways. It was something I would have done anyways and behaved in such a way.
You've
I think it-
answered my question. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over now to Steve Slaga. He's done a couple follow-up questions. So Steve, it's your, go ahead.
Hi, Cheryl. Thanks a lot for applying for the position. You know, we've got some really great candidates out there, and
I bet.
and it's a good sign for our association that there's a healthy group of people that's willing to serve and to help the Secord Lake Association. One thing I've been asking the same questions over and over to all the candidates, so don't take anything too personal, but you know, during the course of the meeting, should you be selected for a position, and I'm piggybacking off ethics here. There are sometimes in board meetings that communications are delivered to board members, and they're usually delivered through the president and vice president, seeing as though they're more connected with the Four Lakes Task Force. These are sort of like foreshadowing events or part of strategic planning. I want to know if you're committed. Some of these things, and usually Phil or Chuck would say, now this is confidential. Are you committed before this board right now to keep those comments that are shared confidential, stay in the room?
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks. And are you said, I may have missed, are you a full-time resident or part-time?
Oh,
resident?
yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
for over 10 years now, full time.
Good. Can you explain to me a little bit more in detail what your position as a chair of the Secord Planning Commission is? And then a quick follow-up of how that's going to entwine into helping the Secord Lake Association.
Well, I get beat up a lot, but responsible for the master plan for the township. I'm responsible for the ordinances that are written and updating of all of that. And when I took the position, I took it because I have a lot of faith in Joel Vanier as a supervisor.
Right.
By the way, he said to tell you guys hi. I guess he knows y'all. I took it to help make Joel's tenure as supervisor successful. But I also took it because I really strongly believe in this community, and there's been a big separation when it came to this lake. And I didn't like the divide amongst the neighbors. And I myself tried to make everybody calm and stuff. I have supported the Four Lakes Task Force as best I could. And I have supported the Secord Lake Association as best as I could without being a board member. Now, did I lose track of the question? Oh, how does it, because I wanted to do the chair of the zoning committee. And as I told Joel, I want a community. I don't want the divisiveness. I want what we used to have on this lake, where we go out on our boats, we stop, we talk to each other, whether we know each other or not. We stop where, I guess it's called P Island. Everybody stops, talks, plays, whatever. I got a little older, so we stopped doing that. You know, they're a fresher crowd, but I don't like division in this community. I like the community to be a big family where the neighbors watch out. Like our neighbor's tree fell. We're going to call and tell him that his tree fell. We're going to watch out for his house. I want that community feeling back. And the only way I can do that is by working within the township board and the Secord Lake Association. I really believe in a wholeness of the community. And did I make sense?
No, you explained it well. You explained it well. I want to thank you for answering that question for us. I have no other questions. And again, I thank you for applying for the position.
Jeannie?
Have you got any volunteer experience?
Oh my, it's been a while, but I've been a Girl Scout leader. I've been a catechism teacher. I was the president of the Holly JC Women Auxiliary many years ago. So yeah, I cooked for the funeral before COVID, for the funeral dinners at Sacred Heart. I'm trying to think. If somebody asks me for something, I kind of just do it. If
Okay,
they ask me to volunteer, if they want baked goods, oh, I bake goods for the bake sale at Sacred Heart and stuff.
okay, thank you.
Sue?
Jeannie
Tammy?
took my question.
Oh,
I
yes, you did.
Sorry,
Way to
Sue.
go. Tammy, do you have anything?
Yeah, my question would be, do you know the committees that we've got on here, and what committee do you think that might be of
I
interest to
do
you or
not-
that you could support?
I do not know all the committees you have. No, I do not.
Okay,
Tammy, I'll continue with that one.
sure.
Okay.
Cheryl, you say that you want to be, a part of the solution and helping out and building the community in that. We have in our association, we've got communications, we've got a membership, we've got fundraiser committees, and we're always looking for members to join us, whether it's to get a different point of view, to help us get the information out. Like we've got a big fundraiser that's going to be going on in September. That's a big golf outing. Well, you can't do it with just two people. So we're always looking for people to help out. We've got multiple candidates for this position, number one, and we really appreciate all the interest of everybody who's been applying. But we're also looking for anybody that wants to help out on any of the different committees.
I'm probably a good fundraiser person since I was accounts receivable in corporate automotive. I would probably say I'm good at getting money. I was responsible for $1.5 billion for 10 years my last 10 years working, and I took their overdues from 27% sales past due to 2 within a couple of months. That was a big raise for that.
Excellent.
So with that being said, we're
I have
looking
one final
forward
question.
to seeing you on one of the committees.
I would like to do that. Yes.
Reach out to us, whether you go through the Secord Lake Association Gmail account and send us information and reach out to us. Also, as you may know, every August we have elections, and we have 3
Yes.
board members that are either up for re-election or any new members that would like to be on the board. And we've just had some really great candidates this time, and I know it's going to be a hard decision for us to pick one.
I'm sure, and I understand that. I do.
So I
You
look
don't
forward
even know
to,
who I am. Yeah.
and I look forward to speaking with you in the near future, because it sounds like you really know how to communicate well. And, we're always looking for people on the communications committee, which I happen to be the chair of. So
I'm very good at communicating. I'm very good at getting people to do what I want
good.
and hand me their money. I worked with mostly men in my career, of course, automotive. And it was very, it was interesting how you had to convince them that it was their idea, and they collected the money from their buyer. And so, but you have to communicate well with people in order to collect that money.
Yes.
You can't anger them. And I do believe fully in transparency.
Good.
Except for when you shouldn't be transparent, because
Steve.
Quickly, I got a question for you, Cheryl. Do you see any potential conflict of interest between having a position of Secord Lake Planning Commission and the Secord Lake Association? Could you, the ordinances, the bylaws and stuff. Is there a conflict?
well, the one is for the whole township. The Secord zoning is for the whole township. The one is just the lake, Secord Lake Association. No, I can't see, I see it working and gelling very well. I think I can bring information to you guys, and I can take information from you guys back to the township meetings.
Right.
Such as the best way to go about something, and what, if you guys are already looking into something and you have ideas and we're trying to look into the same thing, I think I can add to both.
Thank
by
you.
doing that.
Thank you.
Okay. You have any, we got a couple minutes. You got any questions at all, Cheryl, or?
No, I would just like to say, unfortunately, I did not know Secord Lake Association even existed until COVID already hit. And Bones was yelling about people complaining. He was talking to, and how many meetings have you been to? I said, I didn't know they were there.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't know. In the minute, honest to God, Gary and I signed up. We
Okay,
paid
good.
for our membership. We voted. And Gary's membership got messed up a little bit, but he got it in time to vote. And from then on, but then we've had COVID, so it's.
Yeah, it's been tough.
I
for
have
all of
sat
us.
in on some of your Zoom meetings.
Good.
Or your,
Yeah, it's been tough. I hope this summer is a little easier, but we'll have to see.
I think
Thank-
so.
Thank you very much for your time today. And
You're welcome.
okay.
All right,
Have a
thanks
good
for
day.
giving me a chance.
All right.
All right, bye-bye.
Hey,
Thank you.
How are we doing, Sandy?
Good. We have Mike Such in the waiting room.
Okay.
Okay, I'm admitting Mike Such. Let him catch on. Connecting to audio. Connected. Okay, we have Mike Such. Mike, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, I think I got it.
You got
Can you
it.
hear me?
Yep.
I can hear you, Mike.
Next
Thank
time
you.
interview Mike Such.
Okay, Mike, I know you, but what we have here is we're interviewing today. We have a 15-minute time slot for everybody. So our questions are kind of condensed, and I'm going to request your answers to condense them the best you can. And basically, we're going to ask, each board member may ask a question, and I'm going to start it. And you, if you have any questions, please ask us. So with that being said, Mike, I'm going to start by just asking you to briefly introduce yourself, a little bit about yourself, and then tell us why you want to be on the Secord Lake Association Board of Directors. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. As Phil stated, Mike Such, resident. We moved up here from downstate in 2019, built a new house, and relocated our family up here. So we have two boys in school here and going to West Branch, Ogama Heights. My background professionally, I recently retired after 18 years with the state of Michigan. I'm a licensed professional civil engineer and recently started new employment with a company out of Midland, Tri-City Groundbreakers, working as a senior project manager. So with my background with the state of Michigan, as I said, I was a civil engineer. I was the manager at the Blue Water Bridge, as well as several other large-scale state of Michigan projects involved with the critical infrastructure throughout the state. So I have a natural passion and background in critical infrastructure, such as the dams that we are dealing with here on the Four Lakes Task Force, Secord Lake specifically. So I have been involved with Secord Lake Association just in a support capacity in the past to solicit interest and volunteers, especially when we had the newsletter produced. I was involved in that aspect to gather support from our local businesses, our local community, and just kind of get everybody on the same page in support of the Secord Lake Association, and actually introduce a lot of people to it, because from my experience, several people that I encountered weren't aware of it, actually. So very supportive of the Secord Lake Association and Four Lakes Task Force as well. I've followed along in all of the webinars and obviously with the special assessment district coming up, I've been involved with that, just following and educating myself on the work that the Four Lakes Task Force has done.
Okay, Mike, thank you. One other brief question. We have 7 meetings during the year. They're called public board meetings from April to October on Saturdays, once a month. Other than that, though, as a board, we meet usually once a month during midweek. And I guess my question is usually we don't meet any particular day. We try to get one that most of our board can attend, and usually an afternoon time slot. Is that, you feel that would that be something you could make with your job? Is that
Yes, I will definitely be able to attend. I've actually discussed this with the owner of the company and told him that I had an interest and would be pursuing this opportunity. And he's assured me that that wouldn't be a problem. So I'll definitely be able to make whatever requirements are necessary for my obligation.
Okay. That being said, we have a little routine here we're going to go through. I have some board members that would have some specific questions, and I'll let them go. First one is from a board member, Richard West. And Richard's on, go ahead, Richard.
Hi, well, Mike, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
How do you pronounce your last name? Is it Zuch?
Yeah, Such. The Z is silent, so
Such.
that's a very good question. Such.
Thank you. One question. We sent an email out a few days back with regard to what the board perceives as an ethical obligation relating to board decisions. Did you receive that?
Yes, I did.
You had opportunity to read it, I take it?
Yes, I did.
Could you give me your thoughts, comments, questions with regard to that email?
Yeah, basically the ethical conduct statement that I read, I'm in support of. Basically, it alludes to speaking positively of the Secord Lake Association. We can agree to disagree and offer our opinions, but once an issue is voted on, that we agree to support the majority of the board and do so in public as well. So that's my understanding of it. I have no problem with that. I support that ethical conduct statement.
Thank you. I have no more questions.
Okay, I'll turn it over to Steve. Steve
Hi,
Slot,
Mike.
I think you know Mike, but go ahead, Steve.
Hi,
How's it
Steve.
going, Mike?
Good, thank you.
First of all, thanks for applying for the position. I think you're an excellent candidate so far. We've had some great candidates already interviewing. So, but I've been just piggybacking off a little bit on Richard to say, and I just want sort of a commitment from you that sometimes during these board meetings, there are some comments being made primarily through our president and vice president, seeing as they're acting on the voice of the Four Lakes Task Force. Some of these comments are about strategic planning or some sorts of developments, ongoing problems or issues, and that are deemed confidential. And our president or vice president will usually indicate to us that so they are confidential. Can you commit to this board that under no circumstances will you don't divulge any of the information that are deemed confidential?
Yes, I will commit to that. I will not divulge any information that's deemed confidential.
Okay. And you are a full-time resident? And
yes.
One final question, just to sort of help me out. You talk about your background experience as a civil engineer. How is that in relationship a benefit to the Secord Lake Association? Can you just help me to understand a little bit better and how you feel that's going to help us?
Okay, thank you. Civil engineer, as I said, I'm a licensed PE. Most importantly, with the state of Michigan, I dealt with all of the federal regulatory agencies. Mainly for me with the roads and bridges, it was FHWA, but I've also dealt with FERC. I've also dealt with the state of Michigan agencies such as Eagle, MDEQ in the past. Civil engineering, we dealt a lot at the Blue Water Bridge with the Army Corps of Engineers from a federal entity. That background and going through the environmental process on some of the larger infrastructure projects throughout the state of Michigan has enabled me to have an understanding of what these regulatory agencies are looking for. So not only from a technical point of view, with my engineering background, I feel the relationship and the hoops and rings that you have to jump through to get regulatory compliance is a huge asset. So that's what the strengths that I believe I bring to this position, to the Secord Lake Association.
Thanks, Mike. I have no further questions. Again, I appreciate you for applying for the position. Again, a lot of great candidates and you being amongst them. So I appreciate your comments and applying.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on. Jeannie, you have anything? You're going to take Sue's question?
Nope, I'm gonna let Sue ask her question.
Okay.
Okay. Stated that you worked on the newsletter. What other kind of experience do you have in volunteering?
As far as the Secord Lake Association, I worked to drum up local support, volunteering. My time, actually, I hosted meetings at my house to have a better understanding of where we were at with the Four Lakes Task Force. I spend a lot of time volunteering with our local schools. I've coached athletics, sports for my boys all the way through school. So I'm very involved with their curriculum, from sports to extracurricular activities. So I've volunteered a lot of my time attending field trips and school related issues, as well as I said, coaching all different sports throughout the year for many years.
Okay, thank you.
Tammy?
I'll defer my question to Chuck because it sounds like he had that question.
Yeah, well, let Chuck, well, he's doing a wrap up for us, so he let
Sure.
Chuck Sikora, I'll let him take over now.
Well, Mike, with you helping out with the newsletter and such, you understand that we've got different committees, such as a fundraiser and communications and membership and such like that. We're always looking for new members, whether they're a board member or just a member of the association, new ideas, new concepts, better ways to communicate. Would you be willing to help out whether you are chosen to be on the board or not to continue with some of these different committees?
Yes, I'm willing to help in any way I can, any way the Secord Lake Association board sees fit. So yes, I would gladly help. I'm here for the long run. Obviously, I want what everybody wants here, and that's I believe to get our lakes back as safely and as soon as we can. So however I can help, that's why I'm volunteering my time. Whatever capacity you feel you need help, I'll be glad to help.
And also, Mike, I was a industrial electrician and project manager at Ford Motor Company out of Dearborn before I retired. So I very much understand your qualifications and the stuff that you have to go through. But also, along with that, I think that the board would have a better understanding of a civil engineer as a person that can give all of us a lot more understanding from the meetings that Phil and I go to. Sometimes we walk away like deer looking at in the headlights because they come out with so much technical information, and you would be able to, how shall I say, dumb it down so we all can understand what they're saying. Is that a true statement?
Well, I'm not going to say dumb it down, but I want to agree with your point and philosophy that, yeah, I would hope having the technical background and then having, more importantly, the nuts and bolts behind how the government agencies work as far as getting things approved in the regulatory process. I feel I would be a good liaison to be able to bring back and discuss, the challenges that they're seeing technically and why the durations are taking so long to get things done as far as the plan preparation and the design costs and the financial plan. I understand how that all comes together. And as I said, the challenges that they're facing, that it seems like, wow, why is this taking so long? Or why do we need to go to these links? I feel that I could explain what they're telling me and break it down. Yes, I do.
Okay, good. I think that, just that information alone from you would be a great asset for the board to help us understand so that we can get information out to our members in more non-technical terms.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would look forward to that opportunity, and I feel like I could do that effectively.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, Mike, I appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Again, thank you for your efforts on newsletter. I know I was at your house at several occasions and you had a pretty good support group there from our business community. And I appreciate that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for being here today. So we'll let you go. All right.
I appreciate. Thank you for the opportunity, everyone.
Thank
Look forward
you.
to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our last candidate is Chris Ringo. She is not dialed in yet, so you have a few minutes. I'll let you know when she dials in.
Okay. We do have a couple minutes anyway, so. Wow, we might have to make our board like maybe add 7 people, huh?
Yeah,
Pretty good folks out there.
absolutely.
That's that in a positive way, that's good because when we formed this board, I was at least told from Wixom that good luck finding people. Nobody ever wants to volunteer to work on a board. And obviously our lake isn't feeling that way. So I'm happy, very happy that we have this kind of response. It's just going to be difficult for us to narrow it down, but that's something we have to do. So I can share with you, I think, Chuck, I don't know if I'm going to be out of line here, but Rita has indicated both to Chuck and I that she has bought a place in Florida, or did she do that, Chuck? You know her better than I do. She was
Yeah,
going,
they purchased a home in Florida that, and they're going to be spending more time in Florida than they are up here.
and that bothers Rita to the point where she asked me if she'd be more than willing to step down at some point. I told her, please don't right now. We have enough problems. But she certainly is more than willing because of her new adventures and not being able to be here like she wants to be. So we have some good candidates. I mean, that's the good news, I guess. So I just kind of keep that to yourself. I don't think we want to tell that she's quitting because I've asked her not to step down right now.
We have Chris Ringo in the waiting room.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, admitting. Okay. Hi, Chris, we need you to unmute. There we go.
There we go. Hi,
Hello, Chris.
We have
how are you?
candidate is Chris Ringo for interview.
Okay, Chris, what we're doing today is we have some interviews. We're giving everybody a 15-minute time slot. So we're asking questions. We're kind of trying to keep them brief. Need the answers to be brief as possible. And with that being said, I'm going to start it out with a couple questions for you. They're just generic questions. And what I want you to do is just kind of briefly introduce yourself, tell a little bit about yourself, and then tell us why you want to be on the Secord Lake Association Board of Directors.
Sure. Hi. So I'm Chris Ringo. We have a place over on Northwest Branch. I am a CPA, forensic accountant. And I guess the reason I offered to serve on the board is I'm hoping that my serving would bring confidence to the Secord property lake owners, that their interests are being represented in maybe a more neutral and partial front than what is I have understood to be perceived at this point. And that, I guess, is because of my early involvement after the floods, and I ended up really educating myself as a CPA. I do a lot of gathering of data, and I do a lot of inquiry, and I did a lot of that. And one of the first things that came to my attention was that the way the SAD was originally set up, that there wasn't a methodology for separating it after the failing, on that Secord really shouldn't have to pay for the southern dam repairs. So that was one of the main goals initially, was to maybe get Four Lakes Task Force to identify that methodology needed to change. And I think as a result of that, we probably would have previously been paying like $14.30 a year. Now, we're looking at maybe $330. And I think that having that accomplished from the very beginning was a very good thing. And also getting them to communicate. And then everything pretty much, I think, came together after that with Four Lakes Task Force. Because I did explore all these different options, I have, and still to this day, people will call me and I will let them know that there is no alternative to Four Lakes Task Force. We have explored every single option, and it gives people the feeling that their best interests were looked at initially, and that coming full circle back to the fact that Four Lakes Task Force is the best option for them, and having looked at this as closely as we did and explore every other option, I feel that I'm in the best position to convince people that there's no point in arguing with it or feeling that it's not the right fit for Secord, because I believe at this point now that it is. Okay. So that's my whole point in serving. It's just sort of an offer. And if the board, I just wanted the board to consider it. And I just think that it's in the best interest of the lakefront property owners, Secord.
Thanks, Chris. One more question. Our board has 7 meetings a year for public on April through October on Saturday morning, one week a month. But other than that, the board meets almost once a month throughout the year, midweek. Mm-hmm. And we meet, say, like in the afternoon. And I just wonder if that's going to be any kind of conflict for your time schedule. If you would know in advance, but I just got to. That's when we normally do our business, is during the week in the afternoon once a month. You think that might be working?
No, I'm self-employed. I own my own practice, so I have a great deal of flexibility. And I'm also serve on a number of committees where I have to make myself available during the day, state of Michigan committees. Okay. So I'm used to that.
Okay, that's my 2 questions. Now what we do is I turn it over to some of our board that have questions. Mm-hmm. And so the first one will come from Richard West, a board member. Richard, you're still on?
Yes, I'm still here.
All right, you go ahead.
Ms. Ringo, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you today?
Good. My name's Richard West, and I've been on the board since the very beginning. Just a couple of questions for you. I was interested in your comments relating to you being on the board as a show of support for the task force, and I assume the Secord Lake Association. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how to phrase this. I'm not a big social media person, but mm-hmm. I must say I'm not aware of any assertions by you to the effect that the Four Lakes Task Force is the only viable option at this point.
Yes, I think right now, most recently, I did put a letter out there to, and what I do with social media is I email. And I put a letter out regarding, it was actually in regarding a Facebook site called Flop that I noticed a number of Secord Lake property owners were kind of falling victim to that. So I put out a letter recently that I supported Four Lakes Task Force and that Secord Lake property owners should do as well. That letter was met with a great response via email, basically thanking me for letting them know that that the Flop Facebook page was misleading. And then the Gladwin County picked up the letter, and Karen Moore, I believe it is, the newer commissioner there, she contacted me, wanted to know if she could read my letter during their most recent meeting, because she felt that the letter provided, she was, in a battle there with Flop and causing problems in Wixom. And so I said, certainly. And then she thanked me for the letter and read it during the meeting. So that most recently is my public statement in support of Four Lakes Task Force.
Well, thank you for that. I think given your, I'm not sure if it's past or current head of the preservationist. I don't know what the status is of it now, but I think perhaps more statements from you to the effect or that you see no viable option
Right.
at this stage to the task force would be beneficial to us all.
Right, and that's specifically the point that I made in that letter, and continue to do so when I get phone calls. So I get a number of phone calls. And as far as the preservation is concerned, our idea with the preservation going forward is to, and this is just in the works, is to raise money by way of grants to subsidize some of the Secord Lake property owners that have expressed to me that they don't feel that they can afford the SAD. So as a CPA, I'm in a good position to take in applications for that confidentially. And also I am familiar with not-for-profits and getting grants. So as far as the preservation is concerned, that's its goal going forward.
Okay, one more question. The board sent an email to you a few days back with regard to what the board perceives as its ethical obligations or individuals' ethical obligations as board members. You received that, I assume?
Yes, I did. Actually, I received that. I was very familiar with it because it was provided to me when I was nominated during the SLA election. And that was provided to me at that time too, because I was nominated.
My recollection of the events before the election last August, with regard to that email that you received, was that at least on social media, there was a great deal of hue and cry and opposition that was a terrible thing. Do you recall that?
That what was the terrible thing?
That the obligations that were set out in that email were a terrible thing.
I haven't been, I certainly would not have said that. I have not been on the Facebook site for since prior to the election. I think I had an incident where I felt I was being bullied and dropped off. This had to be June or July. So I don't believe that it could have been me that said that, because at the time,
I'm sorry, we're short on time. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm not saying or suggesting that you asserted such a thing. I'm simply pointing out there was a great deal of opposition and hue and cry about that memo. Having said that, and without going back to social media, what is your position on that email?
I didn't have an issue with it, especially because it states that what the board decides after, I would hope, is open conversation among the board members. That is what the decision is, and it makes all the sense in the world that you wouldn't publicly go against that.
Thank you, Ms. Ringo. I have no more questions.
Okay, we are running short of time, but you are our last one, so we can extend just slightly. But Steve, do you have anything?
Hi, Chris. It's finally me.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Okay.
Hey, so I have a couple questions here that are just sort of canned. Everybody got the same questions from me on this. And one is that during the course if selected, I mean, we have some really good candidates, qualified candidates, you among them. That during the course of our board meeting, should you be selected on it, there are sometimes, you know, we go through the routine as most boards do, but then there's some sections where our vice president and president will deliver comments, seeing as though they're the closest associates with the Four Lakes Task Force, that are deemed to be confidential or for our ears open only.
Understandable.
Before it becomes public.
Mm-hmm.
These are usually about strategic planning and developments and stuff that's happening or ongoing or potentially ongoing. Can you assure this board right now that whatever is discussed in confidence, and usually it will be known when they say this is confidential, that you are going to keep this in confidence,
right,
and not share this information in any way, shape, or form?
Absolutely. And I am very familiar with how boards operate as an auditor, and having been on boards in the past. And that to me kind of goes without saying. Even it's not even necessary to say that it's confidential. It's confidential. Anything that's discussed, unless the board or the association decides to make that public in a form of communication that they decide to make public. So
that's good.
To me, that goes without saying. I'm not at all. It's very standard.
All right, good. I just wanted to put it out there and let you hear it. Now, you're currently not a full-time resident up here, but sometime within the next 2 or 3 years, do you project to be a full-time resident? What is your plan? No. Okay. Could you? So obviously now you're coming out in full support of the Four Lakes Task Force, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I have maybe one issue that I'm not, I mean, that I just would like to see them consider any alternatives that they might be presented to them, and I don't know what those are, of accelerating the return of Secord Lake. That's my only remaining thing, is timeliness. I have to say, I mean, that I can't, in all honesty, I have to say that I would like to see that considered. At this point, when I look at their timeline, I don't really see any leeway in there because of the permitting, and because they are in between dam jurisdiction. So who knows how long it could possibly take. I just would hope that if there is any way to bring Secord back sooner, that they would consider that. But at this point, I don't really see that. That's my only.
I see that. I appreciate it. How would you describe your current relationship with the Four Lakes Task Force?
I would say I'm very involved. I've listened to every meeting. I have I haven't had any questions, so I haven't posed any questions because I haven't had questions. I read everything they put out there. I've researched it. I've studied it. As far as my relationship with Four Lakes Task Force itself, no, not good at all. I mean, not as far as I'm concerned, it's fine, but as far as they're concerned, it is not.
Okay.
Right.
If you understand that the Secord Lake Association is this, is.
Yeah, I know
the-
you're a chapter, right, but I have no choice here but to make this one offer and apply because it was out there. So, I'm happy to do that. I don't have any problem with Four Lakes Task Force. Do they have a problem with me? Yes, they do. You can speak with their attorney. He will tell you that they do. So,
I'm not involved in that, so.
yeah, that is an issue.
Yeah, I don't want to get involved in it. One final question. So you identified the flop to send your letter to, correct? Did you say?
No, I didn't send my letter to FLOP. I sent, my letter was addressed to supporters of SLPA. So I have a email list that I send out communication to. Not to FLOP, it was about FLOP.
Would you consider sending a notice out to this, specifically the Secord Lake Group site and support?
I think, I'm sorry, say that again, Steve.
Send out a letter or a notice to the Secord Lake Group, that Facebook site, whatever out there that all the commotion was about, deemed specifically for Secord Lake. Would you ever consider sending a statement out that your support
of my support of Secord Lake Association?
Right.
Of course, okay. I would consider that. My letter was sent out, like I said, I think that you were on that site for some time, maybe you've dropped off since.
4 days.
Yeah, 4 days.
It was unhealthy.
Understandable. I think you beat me. Like I said, my letter was sent out to my email list, and I'm pretty sure I included some people. I know I included Joel on that, and also probably Sandy, because they're on my email list of the letter that I sent out. And it was just in order to, I saw what was happening with Secord Lake property owners, and they were getting, being kind of sucked in by the FLOP site. And so it was a reminder that Four Lakes Task Force, that we've done all of this, and you cannot get out of the SAD, basically.
Right.
Are you asking Steve, though, that she posts that letter to the Secord site on Facebook? Is that what you're specifically asking?
Correct.
There's
Correct.
2 Secord sites, so he's asking if you would be willing to post your letter in support on the Secord Facebook website.
I would be willing to give you permission to post that letter. I think you have it. I'm happy to give it to you. Absolutely.
No, I mean, if you yourself posted it, if you yourself posted the letter on Secord Lake site.
To post it on a Secord Lake Facebook site?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm not on those Facebook groups, but I could give somebody permission to do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
One final, just quickly, and I appreciate everything, Chris, and it's great first time with me. Is the Secord Lake Preservation Association dissolved?
No, and it won't be dissolved unless I have to dissolve it. There's no reason to dissolve it. It has still goals going forward. If I end up on the board, then I don't have a problem dissolving it if the board asks me to dissolve it. But there's no point in dissolving it because it still has some purpose going forward, which I previously just expressed to Mr. West.
Right. Well, you've answered all my questions. I appreciate it. Obviously, I've got to admit, I think you're value added. There's a lot of positive to you. Obviously, you're an organizer, you're a communicator. You tend to get your messages out. I don't know, we got some good candidates and you're among them. So
thank you, Steve.
I appreciate it, Chris.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
No.
Tammy? No?
Nothing for me.
Okay, I'll let Chuck kind of do you want to do the wrap, Chuck, or?
Sure.
Okay.
Chris, with the number of candidates that we've gotten, it's going to be a hard decision for us just to pick one person. The qualifications of everybody is just really, really good, but we're also looking for members of the association to become members of the different committees that we have, such as fundraising, and communications and membership and that. So if you were not chosen to be on the board, would you be willing to become a member of any of these other committees that we have to help out the association?
Yeah, I would definitely give consideration to that, especially communication
Okay,
and membership. Just because I'm organized in a fashion that might assist with that.
okay. Look forward to speaking with you in the future.
Okay, thanks.
And that's about it.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks a lot for taking time today.
Sure. Thank you, Phil.
All right.
So when does the board make a decision and how are we notified?
We're going to be discussing that after your interview. We're done.
Okay.
And we're
All
going to discuss how to move forward. It will be shortly.
Okay.
We want to get this done, so it'll be within the next couple of weeks.
All right.
And we will let you know one way or another. how we're
All
gonna-
right.
And
Well, thank you for your consideration. I appreciate it.
well, thank you for
Thank you.
having interest.
Okay.
All right. Have a good
Bye
day.
now. You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, it's just the board now.
Okay. All right. Board discussion. How do we want to, you want to take time to digest these, or do we want to talk about them right now while we're fresh in our memory? Jeannie obviously won't be available next month, so, and I don't think.
I might be available by phone.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I know it's difficult though, if you're on
Yeah.
the road or something.
Yeah.
So if you want to, as a board, I had in my mind how to kind of do this, although now it's a little more complex because we had some good candidates. I wanted to initially narrow it down to about 3. And I think we could probably do that right now. Do you want to take the time to do that, or you want to meet again in a week?
Let's do it.
Okay. So,
That's my suggestion.
well, unfortunately, we're probably going to meet in a week anyway, because if we bring, we got some other, well, we covered most everything. We'll see. We need to meet once before we have the public meeting in April. And that was actually on my agenda to talk about that too, because I want to know, and you can let me know, but I want to know what, as a board, how you think we should proceed with April. It'd be the 3rd week in April, which is on the way real quickly. Do I need to secure a spot, or do we just need to do a full-blown Zoom?
I'll be there that day. I mean, I'm available if that's what
I
you're
just
asking
wonder
for
if
people's
we should
availability.
try, the only option we really have is the Secord Township. And it can only let, I think, I didn't even know for sure, 50 people at the most can come. Maybe not even that many, it might be 25.
It's 25 current state guidelines.
25 people is all we can have, and the reason we have to do township is I think, Sandy, help me out, but I think their internet would work for our Zoom.
They
Maybe.
did upgrade the internet there, and yes, it would work.
So if you want to do a combination, we could try it. However, I hate to turn people away. Now, I don't know. I think this April meeting coming fast, I think we need to just, my feeling would
Zoom.
be do a Zoom for
Mhm.
April. And maybe by May, things will change. I wish the Secord town, if we could have it outside at the pavilion, but the problem is we have no Wi-Fi there. So we could discuss that later though. So I think April, I would be more in favor, since I don't want to turn people away. That would really probably irritate somebody. So I would say, let's just do a full blown Zoom. But if you have other ideas, let me know. We got some time.
What time? 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, wasn't
10
it?
o'clock Zoom.
10 o'clock. Okay.
I do not have a program yet. I'm not sure on Zoom how that's going to work. I think I wanted to, I may have somebody, we talked about the Four Lakes Task Force update because a lot of people will be coming back for the summer. Maybe. They may stay in Florida longer. I don't know with not having any water. I don't know. So anyway, our plan was to have more of an update on Four Lakes Task Force. We could actually have a question and answer period. I would invite the commissioners, the township supervisors. There may be some things they want to discuss. So that's,
So would we go to the township or everyone would be Zoom?
I'm thinking everybody would be Zoom. I don't know,
Okay.
unless you want to just have the board there with the county officials. We'll have to think about that.
My
Bill,
opinion
can we
would
do
be
a
that.
combination. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Can we do a combination? I mean, is it possible to have people that want to attend the meeting via Zoom as well as people physically there? I mean, does it have to be either or?
Well, the problem is the limitation. If people are coming, we're going to obviously have to turn people away. Our last meetings were packed and we can't have that. If it's 25 people, that's all we can allow in. And if we have the full board there and we have officials there goes about almost all the people.
So the problem isn't the technology, the problem is the limitations on the size of the group?
Exactly.
Due to COVID, the COVID
Okay.
State
limitations.
of Michigan laws.
Yeah, we can't, being it's in a public place, we can't exceed whatever the government says is 25 people, that's it. And if we have a board of say 8 or 9, and we have officials to meet everywhere, that's gonna be probably 15 people. So we're down to 10 people can attend. And
I
that might,
wasn't being critical, it was a question.
yeah, I don't know, Richard, I just don't know if that would be a good idea at this point. Maybe May, but not right now. I think we do probably, let's give that some thought. I don't need to know today. I think we need to get to our candidates. So let's do that now. So how do you, we've heard from each candidate. I think Dan Drell was our first one, Drell.
Mhm.
And
Maybe just cycle through the entire board and have each of you give your top 3.
oh,
we-
good idea. I need input. That's a good idea. So
And we can gauge who that's gonna be.
thank you. So let's, each board member take some time, go pick your top 3.
Now I can't do that because I only heard from 3.
You
So
can't.
I would like to exclude myself from this and just kind of listen if that makes sense, unless you want me to do something else.
No, it does make sense. Okay,
Tammy, you may just want to defer your top 3 pick if you can go back and listen to the recording after it's available. I'll send
Oh,
it
okay.
out to the
I didn't know
board.
that was a possibility. Sure, I could do
this
that.
is being recorded, so that you'll be able to catch up with the other ones.
Okay, perfect.
Can't help people see shit.
Personally, I'm down to 4. So. We get some pretty good people.
I have 3.
Hey, Steve? Hey,
Yes,
Steve? I got 4.
good. So do you want me to give you what my impressions going down the list with these, what I thought?
I want, first of all, everybody to get their selections and then we'll
Okay.
do that. Okay?
Okay.
So let's just. First of all, anybody have any question? I know Tammy excluding right now, but anybody have any questions on anything before we make our selection that some board member could help?
are we to pick, just one or what? What are we doing right now?
We're gonna narrow it down to your top 3.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm having trouble also, by the way. But we have,
I've got my 3, so I'll tell you who my 3
well,
is.
don't tell us yet. You might sway somebody. I don't want that.
I really have just one that's competent that can do the job, so.
Boy, you are a lucky girl.
Oh,
Well,
Is everybody done, or has everybody got their 3 picked?
no. Can't we go to 4 and then narrow it down after discussion?
Oh my God,
I
Steve.
agree with you, Steve.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
all
Thanks,
right.
Chuck.
Is that, let's do 4. You're making it tough. That
I
makes it-
know. The quality of
All
the
right.
candidates, there's reasoning for it.
I'll do 4. If that's, I want to, I'm all set. Steve's all set. Chuck's all set. Tammy's out. Jeannie,
I'm all set.
I
Richard's set.
think I'm set.
Who's set? Where are you at, Jeannie?
I think I'm set.
All right, let's go. Jeannie, since you are the head of our election committee, I'm gonna have you
You want me to go
tabulate.
first? Oh, you
No, I'm
want
gonna
me
have you
to-
tabulate,
All right.
all right? So I will go first. And then we'll go to Chuck. And then so on. I'll just call them out. My first selections are Robert Plotsky, Mike Such, Cheryl O'Neill, Greg Scharf.
Okay, Chuck?
Chuck,
Dan Drayle, Robert Plotsky, Gregory Scharf, and Mike Such.
Susan?
my number 1 pick would be Mike Schus. Number 2 is Greg. Number 3 is Robert. And number 4 is Cheryl.
okay? Steve,
Well, I'm not gonna name them in order, but I thought Mike Such was obviously a good candidate. I was impressed with Gregory Scharf. I liked Cheryl O'Neill. If not, then she's great volunteer work. And number 4, I think we got more to learn here. I think we got to bring Chris Ringo back because there's something going on, and this is our only opportunity to get to the bottom of it.
that's an interesting take. All right. Jeannie, or Richard, let's go Richard, sorry.
Okay. I'll start with, this is in no particular order. Dan Drayle. I forgot to ask him in his earlier application, he cited Hawthorne, which I wanted to know more about. But anyway, Drayle, Mike Such, Greg Scharf, and Cheryl O'Neill. I want to make a comment about Mr. Plotsky. I thought his interview today was very good. But I will say, some of you, or maybe everyone's aware, he ran for the office back in August. And he is one of the people that posted some fairly nasty stuff on Facebook about that email, about that ethics issue. He said today he had no problem with it. I guess I'll accept that at face value, but I just throw that out for what it's worth. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, Jeannie,
Richard, who was the one that posted that negative on the ethics statement?
I want to say it was Plotsky and, but then, I mean, it's a while back. I remember, it seems to me, at least in my recollection, that right after we posted that ethics statement is when Ms. Ringo withdrew. And my recollection is that her husband, I think is a Facebook guy too. I can't remember his first name. That there were that he may have posted some comments about that as well. I'll freely admit that my recollection, it goes back a ways. And I may be wrong on those specifics, but I know that there was some pretty nasty comments about that statement that we made about those obligations. And that bothered me a bit. Especially where everyone today says, well, sure, every board does that, and it's normal stuff. That wasn't the response when we sent it out in August.
Okay.
So my notes on him were, obviously I said passionate. He was passionate to a far degree.
Yep.
I saw something of a potential problematic within him.
Okay, before we discuss too much, Jeannie.
All right. Mike Such, Cheryl O'Neill, Greg Scharf, and I had Dan Trally, but if he's an issue on ethics, then I'm not sure who I'd go with.
Okay. So can you pick?
The top three are Mike Such, Greg Scharf, and Cheryl O'Neill.
Okay. So we're down to 3.
We have 5 for Greg, 5 for Mike, and 4 for Cheryl.
Sorry, Steve, about that Chris thing.
It's actually 6 each for Greg and Mike.
Okay.
6 of you voted.
Oh, I didn't mark my own down. Sorry. You're right, I didn't mark my own down.
Well, if there's 6, is Cheryl and Mike the leaders then?
Mike and Greg are the leaders and Cheryl is one behind.
Oh.
Wow.
And then Dan and Robert both had 3 and Chris had 1 and Kevin got none.
Okay. So the board, let's see, Tammy, you were here for Mike.
Yep.
Not Cheryl though, right?
Yeah, I was here for Cheryl and
Okay.
the very end of Greg.
Oh, so you kind of heard all 3. That's good.
And the last 4, Chris, Mike, Cheryl, and the end of Greg. I wouldn't say I heard enough of Greg to be able to vote though for him. I just didn't hear what he had to say except at the very end.
Okay. How does the board want to, how do we want to move forward? Do you want, I don't really think we need to interview these 3 again. We asked them everything I think we wanted to. And I don't know if we need to personally sit down with them again. So I feel the board that is present today can probably make this decision. I don't think I want to delay it particularly unless you feel like you want to wait a week and digest this. But I'm okay with moving forward with a vote for a finalist at this point, if you feel comfortable.
I agree.
All right. Anybody else have any input on that idea?
I already have my top one, so.
All right, you're set, Jeannie's set, I'm set. Steve, can you pick one?
Yeah, well, my secondary wants to be, I would like them to be encouraged to run again.
What's this now?
I said, yeah, but my second choice, I would hope that we could reach out to him to run again.
Well, you remember what I said about Rita? No, you know, she has a desire maybe to also resign. Maybe. I told her to stay on, but as she moves to Florida, I'm thinking she thinks maybe she can't help. So we have an opportunity maybe for another one. But anyway, that being said, okay, I'm down to one. Richard, you got one?
Richard's muted right now.
Oh, can you unmute yourself, Richard?
Sorry. Yeah, I can do one, although we have too many good choices. I'm
I know.
quite pleased.
I know, it's a tough, very tough. Okay, Tammy, you can do one?
Well, I mean, I don't think I can because I didn't see the other three, so I don't think that would be fair. So I think I'd just stay out of it and let
All
you
right.
guys decide. I mean, you decide who you decide. I'm fine with that.
All right, so I'm going to start it. I'm going to verbalize it. It doesn't, I agree with Richard. They're all good. I have no, and I think when you mention the name you're going to mention, I think you should probably tell why. And I will do that starting out. I'm going to pick Mike Such out of this simply because I see him of value as we move forward with our project with the dams. I see, I think his understanding of engineering is, will help communicate to our community what's going on. And so, you know, that being said, I guess, and Mike was a big supporter of our association. I met at his house. He did have several house meetings. He got the business community together to support us. Mike has done quite a bit of work. And I appreciate what he's done. So I'd like to give him the opportunity to sit on the board. And so that's my choice, and that's why it's my choice. So I'll go next to Chuck.
Well, yeah, I'm going to go with Mike. For all the same reasons that you said, Phil, is with his engineering background and the fact that he stepped up and helped out with the newsletter. He was very supportive of the Secord Lake Association. But you know, like I said, it's tough. We had 7 really good candidates, and I think that he may be the best.
Okay. I'm going to go to Sue.
Okay. Mike's my number one because he's already been involved with the newsletter. He has background in engineering, and he supports getting our water back. It's just too bad we couldn't have another alternate in case Rita resigns, but my number one pick right off the bat is Mike.
Okay. Steve?
Yeah, again, I echo that. I wish there was an alternate.
Case, sorry if I could interrupt real quick. If that's the case, Phil, and you think Rita really wants to, we have all these good candidates. Why would we delay not moving forward with that with these candidates we've got, kind of like we did with Steve and I, and move on? You know what I mean? Rather than we'd have to wait for her to resign, ask people again, and all that sort of process. I don't know. It's just an idea.
I like Rita.
I like her too.
So I give me a little time now. I've asked her to stay on for the summer.
Okay.
We have actually 3 people. We're going to pick one of these 3, but we have 2 others to fall back on, hopefully. And if she makes her decision in the fall to step down, I think there's a possibility we could talk to our 2 remaining or make a decision. So that's all I'm going to say on that. So
okay.
I don't want her to step down right now. It's too confusing. And I think she is a great asset for us. She's got to figure out what she's doing with the rest of her life right now. That's all. Steve, going back to Steve,
Yeah,
you make a decision, Steve?
Yeah, I'll be the swing vote. It's I'll go with Mike Such. Not so much in regards to the civil engineering part. And I know it benefits both you, Chuck. But I knew know Mike, and he's very community involved. He's thoroughly a really outstanding individual. So, you know, and he's knowledgeable. So I'm going to go with Mike Such.
Okay, Richard?
How many votes does Mike have so far? 4? Did
Yeah,
I count right?
yeah.
Mhm.
He's already prevailed, has he not?
But your input's vital.
Well, you know, if I had to, well, I'm going to vote for Greg Sharp.
Okay.
It's hard to say why, because I thought they, of the group that we're considering, they were all exceptionally qualified. But I just like some of his comments, so I'll go with Greg Sharp.
Okay. Jeannie?
Well, I'm kind of agonizing over this because Mike's background is really tough. I mean, it's really, we don't have any background that are as expertise in engineering as his. But we already have engineers on Four Lakes Task Force that we listen to all the time. And I'm not sure that another engineer is going to help us understand things any better. They might, I'm not sure. I think I'm going to vote for Mike. Because I think he brings something that the other two don't.
Okay, and Tammy's going to set out, so I think Mike is our individual to contact. And if we could send a letter out to all our applicants. I'm not sure about the wording, how we tell them. I can personally call Mike. But far as the ones that we didn't elect, I would like to reach out to them in some way that would make it clear that it was a tough decision. They're very qualified, and we hope to
Invite
use
them.
them. And
Yeah.
I can see some of these people being used for volunteers down the road, or
Invite them to join the committees. I would like to hear
Yep.
that.
yeah, well, Chuck made that clear for each one, but I think we need to after this meeting, we need a letter sent out to the ones that we didn't select in some way. Do you want can the COM team do that, or do you want one of the board members to do that?
I have a statement that I've been working up just as we've been talking here.
All right,
That I can run by this group, if you don't mind.
go ahead.
I was just going to say thank you for your time today to meet with us and share your qualifications and desire to serve our lake community. Now, this is before this vote decision. I wrote, we are actively discussing our next step and the timing around this appointment. We will be back in contact with you shortly with our decision. So I think we need to revise that because you've made a decision.
I think so.
Can we say something like we've had an outstanding slate of candidates?
I think we have to say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was a difficult decision.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it was a difficult decision.
Very.
Well, I think we need a letter written. I am not good at that. I will admit it. So I need somebody that's good with words to do this.
You know what, let's Steve Communications Committee with Chuck and I
Tammy.
and Tammy.
Right.
Yeah.
You
We could
put
work around.
and run it by, actually just run it by the people that were present today, because other board isn't going to know what we're talking about.
Sure.
So I think Tammy, yeah, I appreciate that. Let's do that. But let's just run it by the board. It should be fairly quick, and I will personally take care of calling Mike, and I will have him. Well, he's on the board. We don't have to do anything, so he'll be an official board member in April. Period.
And make the announcement at the April board meeting?
And then unless there's some reason he refuses the position, then we're gonna go to, we'll meet again and we'll have another vote.
No question. So in regards to Mike, so I've heard some information out there that he may throw his hat in for another position. That was something we failed to ask him. Have you heard such a thing as well?
Well, I will talk to, I know what you're talking about and I have to make some calls on that, but I will talk to him.
Another position
We should have known. that
where?
before we
With,
voted.
Been asked to be a commissioner.
Hmm.
But I don't think he's taken it, so I didn't want to bring that up because it's unofficial. It's not official. I don't want to, it's kind of like talk. So I will talk to him though, and if he feels that he's going to do that, then I think we need to meet again in a week. And so, and then
to vote again, are you saying? Because if
Yeah,
so, then I'll
there are
look at the
I
recording.
think the three candidates, we would push them out and there'd be a vote between the two remaining, which would be Greg and Cheryl.
What-
Am I right on that?
I don't know if I agree necessarily with that, Bill. If we wind up, if Mr. Such winds up not being the replacement director,
Yep.
we excluded some people because as we narrowed it down, we might not have done the same path had we known that. I think we need to go back to the remaining 6.
No, I agree with that because he had 6 votes. And if those 6 votes are redistributed, somebody else might come into the final 2.
Yeah, so let's go back and pick 3 more again, if that's the case.
Okay.
Each of us pick 3, and at that point, I can go and
We've already chosen Mike. Let me talk to him. I
Yeah.
don't think he's taken that position. So this isn't.
Yeah.
He
No,
wouldn't
but they're
interview
just-
today.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have interviewed today if he didn't want this position.
Mhm.
So,
That's true.
all right.
Okay, and we'll deal with that afterward if that
Yeah, We
occurs.
don't need to deal. I think we have to have a board meeting prior to our April meeting. And if there's any glitches, I will let everybody know, but I don't think there will be. I guess we're gonna do a Zoom meeting, Sandy, in April.
Yep, I can set up for a large meeting format for Zoom for April. And get that set up. The thing that I need to defer to somebody else is running the Zoom on that meeting. Our daughter-in-law's baby shower is that day, and I will not be available on the 17th.
Okay, can somebody,
I
wow,
don't know if Rita's gonna be back in town. If she is, then she could run it.
okay,
All right, I'll find somebody else to run it.
appreciate that. I know I can't, so.
I know I can't.
So, okay, got me nervous, but okay.
Sandy, teach me, Sandy, I'll do it.
All right, Steve, you got it.
I'll help you, Steve.
All
I
right.
don't have much faith in me though.
No,
All right.
I'm gonna call you out too.
I appreciate everybody being here today, and with the time involved, it was a big thing and we're done. So I will get a message out to you probably in the next few days about a meeting in the next week or two, or actually it's probably gonna be in 2 weeks. It'll be 1 or 2 weeks away anyway. So I'll get it.
And Phil, before we close, I'd like to reiterate the fact that we've had multiple emails about people renewing and wanting to know why they should renew. What's the benefits of renewing? And I'd like to get everybody on the board either to send me an email or give me a call, whatever, because the communications committee and the membership committee are, I don't think that we should be making the answer to that question. I'd like to hear from the board as to why and what the benefits are of being a member. And something also to throw out there, do we want to, about being a member, say, okay, 10% of our membership fee is going to go into the Secord Dam Only Fund. It's a suggestion. I just like to hear what everybody's got to say about that as to what the benefits are of a membership.
Question,
You know right now, so just let me know.
a quick question. When you say 10% is going into the Secord Lake Only Fund, is that our Secord Lake Fund or is that the task force Secord Lake Fund?
That's our fund, and I'm just throwing it out there as a suggestion.
That what, 10% of the membership fee go to the task force? I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, we've got two bank accounts, one for general and one for Secord Lake Only.
Correct?
So I'm looking to put the money into the Secord Only.
And then the board decision for donating to Ford Lakes Task Force comes out of that Secord Dam Fund at a future date.
That could be a benefit that we list if we put 10%, 20%, something.
Right, right. That's just my suggestion. Sandy and I have talked about it. I don't know how everybody else feels about that, so it's something to think about.
Okay.
Good idea.
Thank you. Have everybody good night.
Yep, I'll have a motion to adjourn.
So
Second that emotion.
No, no objection, we adjourn. Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Maybe another call.